The sun hung low over the sleepy cul-de-sac of Willow Creek, casting long shadows across manicured lawns and pastel mailboxes. It was late summer, the kind of day where the air smelled faintly of cut grass and barbecue smoke, and the neighborhood buzzed with the quiet hum of suburban life. For Jake Mercer, a retired Marine with a penchant for precision, it was the perfect afternoon to install his latest project, a custom-built mailbox forged from cold-rolled steel, complete with a biometric lock and a matte black finish. It wasn't just a mailbox, it was a statement, a subtle nod to the life he'd left behind after 2 decades of deployments in places where survival depended on vigilance and steel resolve. Jake knelt beside the post, tightening the final bolt with a wrench, when he heard it, the sharp slap, slap, slap of flip-flops on concrete. He didn't need to look up to know trouble was coming. The sound carried an unspoken judgment, the kind that only comes from someone who believes they own the pavement they walk on. Sure enough, a shadow fell over him, and a voice high-pitched, clipped, and dripping with self-appointed authority cut through the stillness. That mailbox is a violation of Section 14B of the Neighborhood Covenant, the woman said, not bothering with a greeting. Jake glanced up, squinting against the sun. She was in her late 40s, blonde hair chopped into a severe bob, oversized sunglasses perched on her nose like a shield. In her hands, she clutched a clipboard, tapping it with a manicured nail as if it were a gavel. Her name was Linda Voss, though Jake would later dub her the General in his head. She stood there, legs planted wide, radiating the kind of energy that suggested she'd watched too many episodes of Property Wars. "There's no HOA here," Jake replied evenly, returning his focus to the bolt. "Dissolved 8 years ago. County records confirm it." Linda's smile tightened, a thin, reptilian curve. "We've reinstated it. You must have missed the notice. This is a private community now, and we have standards." She tapped the clipboard again, harder this time, as if the sound could summon legal weight out of thin air. Jake straightened, wiping his hands on his jeans. He was a broad man, 6'2", with the kind of build that came from years of carrying gear through deserts and jungles. His gray eyes locked onto hers, unblinking. "Did you file this new charter with the county? Because last I checked, private community doesn't mean you get to make up rules and enforce them without paperwork." Her face twitched, a flicker of uncertainty betraying her bravado. "We don't need to file anything. It's an agreement among residents. You'll see." With that, she turned on her heel and marched off, flip-flops slapping a retreat. Jake watched her go, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. He'd faced worse than Linda Voss insurgents with rifles, sandstorms that could strip paint off a Humvee. A middle-aged busybody with a clipboard didn't even register on his threat radar. But Linda wasn't just a busybody. She was a force of nature, a suburban warlord cloaked in yoga pants and entitlement. 2 days later, a letter appeared taped to Jake's front door. It was printed on flimsy paper, the edges curling, with a faint purple stain he hoped was jam and not something worse. The text accused him of aesthetic disruption, unapproved structural modifications, and his personal favorite hostile mailbox deployment. Jake laughed so hard he nearly dropped his coffee. Then he photographed it, saved it to a folder labeled Linda's Delusions, and called his old friend Tom, a lawyer who specialized in property disputes. "She's got no leg to stand on," Tom said over the phone, chuckling. "The HOA's been dead since 2017. No board, no dues, no authority. She's running a fantasy league." "Yeah, well, her fantasy's got a Jeep," Jake replied. That night, he'd spotted Linda and her boyfriend Travis, a wiry guy with a goatee and knockoff Ray-Bans cruising the neighborhood in a beat-up Jeep Liberty. Orange hazard lights flashed on the roof, and a magnetic sign on the door read, "Willow Creek Enforcement Unit." Travis drove slowly, peering out the window like a discount cop, while Linda scribbled notes on her clipboard. They'd started leaving violation notices on porches citations for overgrown shrubs, non-regulation trash cans, even excessive bird feeder activity. The neighbors grumbled but complied, too tired or too polite to push back. Jake didn't comply. He watched. He documented. He let Linda dig her own grave, one ridiculous notice at a time. The Facebook group she created, Willow Creek Concerned Citizens, became her propaganda hub. She posted grainy photos of suspicious behavior, like Mrs. Carter walking her poodle without a leash or little Timmy riding his scooter too fast. Comments piled up, mostly from Linda herself, hyping the threat of neighborhood decline. Jake stayed silent, a ghost in the group, screenshotting every post. Things escalated when Travis knocked on his door at 6:17 a.m., wearing a tactical vest with a patch that read Safety Patrol. He thrust a clipboard at Jake. "You've been selected for a mandatory security audit. We need a full inventory of your weapons and surveillance equipment." Jake didn't move. He just stared, counting the seconds 5, 6, 7 until Travis shifted uncomfortably. "You're trespassing on a federally designated training site," Jake said, his voice low and steady. "Leave. Now." Travis blinked, then puffed out his chest. "You're not above the rules, man. This is for the community." Jake repeated himself, slower this time, each word a hammer strike. Travis backed off, snapping photos of Jake's security cameras as he retreated. Hours later, those photos hit the Facebook group with a caption, "Armed resident refuses inspection. Possible threat." The neighbor's text started pouring in screenshots, questions, a mix of amusement and alarm. Most hated Linda, but fear was a powerful motivator. One guy even lost his garden, gnomes to her sanctions. Jake called his contact at the Department of Homeland Security, a gruff ex-Marine named Riley. "Heads up," he said. "Got a wannabe dictator impersonating authority on my turf." Riley snorted. "Your place still certified?" "Always. Document it. We'll handle the rest if she crosses the line." The line was crossed a week later. Another letter arrived, this one titled Final Notice, Asset Surrender. Signed by Linda as acting community overseer, it demanded Jake turn over all unregistered firearms for verification and temporary seizure. The font? Comic Sans. Jake framed it on his wall, right next to his Purple Heart. Then he waited. It came on a Saturday morning. Linda and Travis rolled up with their enforcement team, 3 guys in mismatched cargo pants and vests that screamed eBay surplus. They set up a folding table in Jake's driveway, complete with zip ties, a bullhorn, and a cooler of off-brand soda. Linda, now in a faux military jacket, barked through the bullhorn, "Surrender your weapons or face immediate sanctions." Travis paced, holstering the bullhorn like it was a sidearm, while the trio shifted awkwardly, sipping their drinks. Jake didn't budge. He sat inside, coffee in hand, watching through the blinds. Then he made the call. One number, 6 words, activate federal clause, code 192. 5 minutes later, the circus ended. Black SUVs rolled in, silent as predators. For agents stepped out real ones, with badges and the kind of calm that comes from handling actual threats. The lead agent, a wiry man with a buzz cut, approached Linda. "Step away from the property. Hands where I can see them." Linda bristled. "This is HOA business. I have rights under our charter." "You're impersonating federal authority on due-to-registered land," the agent said, voice flat. "You've got about 20 seconds to comply." Travis tried to intervene, but a glance at the agent's holstered Glock sent him stumbling back, knocking over the soda cooler. Linda kept arguing, waving her clipboard like a shield. "You have no jurisdiction. This is my territory." The agent's expression didn't change. "This is a certified training facility. You're lucky we're not calling this an attempted breach." One of her lackeys tried to slip away, only to be stopped cold by another agent. Neighbors peeked out, phones recording, as Jake finally stepped onto his porch. "Told you," he called out, sipping his coffee. Linda's eyes widened, but she doubled down, citing community sovereignty, until the agent cut her off. "You're done." They collected her fake badges, forged notices, and the laughable surrender forms, bagging them as evidence. Linda and Travis were cuffed gently, professionally unloaded into an SUV. The wannabe SWAT team followed, heads down, as the neighborhood erupted in whispers and muffled cheers. It didn't end there. Linda, ever defiant, emailed Jake that night from a burner address. Legal action pending, it read, smug and rambling, claiming he'd violated neighborly conduct. She promised a federal fight, oblivious to the irony. Jake laughed, forwarded it to Riley, and went to bed. 3 days later, Linda's new lawyer showed up. Martin, a disheveled man in a cheap suit who called himself community advocate. He ranted about emergent governance for 20 minutes until Jake asked, "Seen the footage?" Martin waved it off. "Video's subjective. We're about the spirit of the law." Jake shut the door. Linda wasn't done, though. She plastered laminated signs around Willow Creek, ongoing compliance review, vague threats that spooked the timid into compliance. Jake countered with a call to a DoD buddy, upgrading his property from dormant to active training status. New signs went up: federal training zone, no unauthorized access. Linda's game was over legally, anyway. She didn't quit. She and Travis hosted strategy sessions in her garage, unveiling a PowerPoint titled "Reclaiming Our Streets." Jake crashed one, asking, "When do your fake cops get vetted?" The room froze. He left, emailing the feds the details. Auditors descended next, probing her nonprofit scam. Her empire crumbled. Facebook group gone, Jeep sold, signs vanished. Then came the lawsuit. Martin filed a 16-page civil claim, accusing Jake of community sabotage. Jake countersued, burying them in evidence, videos, notices, even the PowerPoint. In court, Linda's new attorney floundered as the judge dissected her Comic Sans felony. She lost everything: injunction, cease and desist, and a poetic twist: community service, cleaning Jake's facility under federal watch. For 6 weeks, Linda mopped floors, silent and defeated. Jake watched, saying nothing until she asked, "Why no charges?" He replied, "Jail doesn't teach." "This might." She finished, faded away. Rumor had it, to a nursery job. And Willow Creek breathed again. Lawns grew wild, mailboxes got quirky, and peace returned. Months later, a letter Aravedno sender, just "I'm sorry" in Linda's scrawl. Jake tucked it away, next to the framed notice that started it all. Some wars end with a bang. This one ended with a mop and a quiet, hard-won victory. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.